When people talk about the big three of shounen anime, these names instantly come up. Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece. These were the series that defined an era, dominated TV slots, and kept fans glued week after week. But here's the thing, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, there was another series standing right alongside them. A series that had the popularity, the presence, and the critical reception to be in that same conversation. That series was Hunter x Hunter. So why isn't it remembered as part of the big three? That's the question this video will explore. Because if you look at what Hunter x Hunter actually was in that era and what it managed to achieve despite its challenges, it's not a stretch to call it the forgotten rival of the big three. When the manga first launched in March 1998, it wasn't entering Shonen Jump as an underdog. Yoshihiro Togashi was already a household name thanks to Yu Yu Hakusho, so expectations were sky high. From day one, Shueisha treated the series like a big deal. Its very first chapter debuted on a weekly Shonen Jump cover, and within its first year it was already fronting multiple issues. That kind of promotion was a clear signal that this was meant to be one of Jump's next big pillars. The readers responded immediately as well. The series shot up the magazine's weekly popularity surveys, and by 1999 Hunter x Hunter was consistently sitting at the front of Weekly Shonen Jump. At its peak in those early years, it was the second most popular series in the magazine, trailing only One Piece. This wasn't a mid-tier series punching above its weight, it was one of the titles carrying Jump's lineup at the turn of the millennium. That success translated outside the magazine as well. New volumes frequently topped sales charts, and the series had already sold tens of millions of copies within its first decade. The franchise expanded quickly into things such as DVDs and video games, showing just how broad its appeal was in those formative years. Soon after the release of the manga, the anime followed, launching in late 1999 on Fuji TV. Nippon Animation's adaptation ran 62 episodes through early 2001, covering the Hunter Exam, Heaven's Arena, and York New arcs, before continuing with OVAs up to Greed Island. On TV, the series performed respectably, pulling high ratings and ranking as highly as number 6 among all anime on air in early 2001. With all this taken together, it's clear that in the late 90s and early 2000s, Hunter x Hunter was not just popular, it was a flagship series. It was promoted like one, ranked like one, and it had the sales and anime reception to prove it. In that window, it stood shoulder to shoulder with One Piece as one of Jump's biggest titles. And I would say Hunter x Hunter stood out in a unique way from its shonen peers. The Hunter Exam arc immediately set the tone. It took the standard training/entrance setup, but it gave it a sharper edge. Brutal elimination, psychological games, and survival trials where the test wasn't always what it seemed. It showed readers this wasn't just going to be another straightforward adventure story. Then York New City expanded the scope of the world. Instead of focusing only on a single villain, the story dove into a criminal underworld full of mafia families and the Phantom Troupe. And on top of all of this was the crown jewel, the power system of Nen. It was more than just a way to get stronger, it was an actual system of logic and creativity. Early on, fans realized this was a power system with rules that could be bent but not broken, meaning fights weren't just about who's stronger but who was more smarter as well. And we can't forget about the brilliant cast either. Unlike many series where side characters fade into the background, in Hunter x Hunter they became engines for entire arcs. From the very beginning, Hunter x Hunter was proving that it could be darker, more experimental, and more flexible, while still giving readers the excitement of a mainstream shonen. And so the big question is, if the series was this strong out of the gate, why isn't it remembered alongside Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece as one of the big three? Well, I'd say the answer isn't that it lacked quality, or even popularity, it's that it couldn't keep momentum. The 99 series is the best example of this. It ran for 62 episodes across 1999 and 2001, covering all the way up to the York New arc. And unlike Naruto or One Piece, which were willing to lean on long filler arcs to keep their anime alive, the studio chose to stop the TV run when it neared the manga. Demand was still high though, so they continued the story as OVAs between 2002 and 2004, finishing the York New arc and adapting Greed Island. But by then, the next arc, the Chimera Ant arc, was just beginning, and the manga was already slipping into irregularity. Without stable source material, there was no way to plan more episodes without heavy filler or big gaps. So the anime pipeline shut down. Not because of bad ratings, as I mentioned before, the anime was pulling strong numbers at the time, but because the source material simply wasn't there. Then years later, the 2011 Madhouse reboot gave fans a full, faithful adaptation all the way through the Chimera Ant arc and the Election arc. It was polished, consistent, and is still hailed as one of the best anime adaptations ever. But once again, the same problem hit. The anime eventually caught up and the manga had gone quiet. That brings us to the heart of it, Togashi's health. His back and hip issues have plagued him since his Yu Yu Hakusho days, and by the mid-2000s they became impossible to ignore. In 2022, he revealed that he had been unable to even sit in a chair for nearly 2 years, working instead while lying down. The treatment takes up much of his time and he admitted that his symptoms have not improved. Shonen Jump eventually adjusted to its reality, moving Hunter x Hunter away from the weekly serialization entirely to ease the burden. And since 2006, the manga has spent more time on hiatus than in publication, with breaks sometimes lasting years at a time. And that's the unfortunate reality. Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece never disappeared. Even if the manga was stretching thin, the anime kept them alive on TV every week, with fillers or side stories to hold a time slot. Hunter x Hunter, by contrast, would shine brilliantly whenever it returned, only to vanish again for years. It kept its quality intact, but at the cost of its visibility. And in a medium where momentum is everything, it never had the chance to cement itself in the same cultural space as the big three. But let's be real. Even without the big three label, Hunter x Hunter has left a mark few shonen can match. The 2011 anime is still praised as one of the best adaptations in the genre, consistently ranked among the top-rated shows on sites like Mal. It gave a whole new generation of fans the complete Chimera Ant arc, which many consider one of the greatest shonen arcs ever written. And there's the manga as well. Despite its irregular schedule, it still boasts around 84 million copies in circulation, which is an incredible number considering how many years it's been on hiatus. That figure might not hit Naruto's 250 million or even Bleach's 130 million, but given the gaps, it's proof of just how loyal the fanbase is. In a way, Hunter x Hunter has shifted from being a mainstream juggernaut to a prestige series, kind of like an unfinished masterpiece that hardcore fans point to when they talk about what shonen can achieve at its peak. It may not have had the uninterrupted run of Naruto, Bleach, or One Piece, but its legacy is just as strong, if not stronger in certain circles. Hunter x Hunter had everything it needed to stand with the big three. It launched in the same era, got the same flagship treatment in Jump, pulled strong anime ratings, and delivered some of the most creative arcs and characters in shonen. But unfortunately, what it didn't have was consistency. Togashi's health issues forced the manga into long breaks, and both anime adaptations eventually ran out of material to adapt. But that doesn't mean it wasn't worthy. If anything, Hunter x Hunter is like the forgotten rival of the big three, the series that could have been part of that conversation if fate had been kinder. And for fans who've read it or watched it, it's proof that even without non-stop momentum, a story can still etch itself into the history of shonen as one of the greats. Even now, more than 2 decades after Hunter x Hunter began, Yoshihiro Togashi is still putting pen to paper. In the recent years, he's surprised fans by returning more actively, sharing updates and releasing new chapters. And the quality of the lore hasn't dipped either, in my opinion. Every time the story continues, it's a reminder of just how much brilliance he still has to offer. Of course, his health remains a constant challenge, and the pace will never be what it was in the weekly days. But that's okay. At this point, every new chapter feels like a gift, both to longtime fans and to the legacy of shonen manga as a whole. So here's to Togashi, wishing him the best of health and hoping he's able to continue Hunter x Hunter in whatever way works best for him. Because if the recent arc is anything to go by, he's still got plenty left to say. And that's it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to like and subscribe and comment down below what anime you think I should cover next. I really appreciate all the support I've been receiving so far, and I'm going to be posting weekly anime analysis videos, so I hope to see all of you next week.